All right. All right, so very recently, OpenScholar released a new search box widget that gives you more flexibility in terms of how you can have your search box on your site. Gives you the ability to have multiple searches with varying degrees of specificity. And there's a lot of use cases that people have asked for a feature like this. So today we're just going to take a look at it. And I'm going to show you a few use cases that I have. And then at the end, we'll answer any questions. And then we'll also sort of have time where Kate and I will help you out if you have any questions about your own site. So typical format. We do this every time. Getting help, we have a community forum. We have a documentation website. We have a roadmap, which basically tells you what's coming up in each release. So this presentation will be posted on our ABCD-OpenScholar website. And you can click on each of those and go to each one if you want. We also have platform training. My colleague Bree does those every 2 weeks. Those are free to the Harvard community. All right, so before this feature existed, OpenScholar had a widget on your site. It was called Site Search. And this was a little search bar that automatically got put on the top right. When you created a site, it created basically out of the box. And what they've done now is they've actually renamed that to be called Search Box. So if you look at your site now, if you have an existing site, that widget is going to say Search Box. And it's one of these type, it's the same kind of widget. So we'll get into that. Now, the type of widget is called a filtered search widget. And it's got some options of filtering by content type and also taxonomy vocabulary. And that's called the filter search widget, and I'll show you that in a minute. Just some stuff about Apache Solr, which is the engine, the search engine behind OpenScholar. It's not exclusive to OpenScholar. OpenScholar uses it. So it's a Java library called Lucene is what it runs on. And it indexes your OpenScholar content automatically every 5 to 10 minutes. So if you post something and then a user administrator do a search, immediately after you're not going to see it in the search results. You have to wait 5 or 10 minutes. And it does it on a routine schedule. It has the ability to search a lot of other things, even files. OpenScholar doesn't have your files show up in search results right now. It's being talked about, but not yet. So that's a little background on Apache Solr. If you're really interested, there's a ton of info. You can Google it. So this slide is just telling you that the search box widget is your default slide. So let's take a look at our test site here. Have it open. I'm going to go into the layout here, and those of you new to OpenScholar, this layout screen is kind of like a blueprint of your site and all the content in it. So here it is. This used to be site search, now it's search box. Take a quick look at the settings. You can see that it has some filtering capability. But what this is just, it's searching all content. So all this stuff is set to all content types.
Could we turn those lights down?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yep. Let's see.
Thank you.
We can do the master lights. Is that too dark? That's good? Okay, great. So your default search box widget is basically set to search everything. It's not filtering by anything, really. So that's what happened. You can add a search box widget to your site. Now, one thing I want to be careful about is the terminology here. The type of widget is called a filtered search widget. It's just that the one that was there before by default, that description is called search box. So I think it's important to understand the terminology that the type is called a filtered search widget. But in this presentation, I will be using the term search box, but what I mean, if I do say that, is the type is the filtered search widget. So it's right here. And this will create a brand new filtered search widget. Okay. So let's just do this. Search publications by keyword. So I'm just going to create one right now, kind of jumping ahead a little bit. I'm going to say, let's just search all of our publications. I'm not going to worry about filtering by taxonomy. I'm going to sort by relevancy, which the main thing about relevancy, and we'll talk about later, is it goes by how things are tagged. Like the titles come first, because they're heading 1, tagged as heading 1s, and then heading 2 is given more priority, and then the body content is given the least priority. So we can talk about that in a little bit. All right, so I called my widget search publications. Oops. Nope, I didn't save it though. Let me just recreate it. You can see it again. Okay, I'm going to choose publication. And I'm going to save it. This is going to show up in the far left-hand side. Anytime you add a new widget, it shows up right here. I'm going to go to my publications section. There's already one there that we created for this demo, but I'm going to drop in the new one that I created. So I'm going to look for it. The shortcut that I use is Command F to search through my widget library. Just a kind of a tip you can do. Here's my search publications widget, and I'm going to save it. So when I go to the publications section in the site, I'm going to see my widget appear. It's going to say search publications. So I'll do a demo on it in just a second, but when I search in here, it's just going to search through the publications on my site, nothing else. And you can see just by taking a look at the settings that that's what we have it set up to do. So we'll get to that in 1 second. So this is just best practice in setting up your search box widget. If you have something that's a global search, you want to, or anything that's in the header and footer, you want to choose the all sections layout, because that's going to, there's a layout here called all sections. You want to keep that consistent throughout. So this is a way you can manage header and footer on every page. Just best practice, stuff like that. Talking a little about indexing. So indexing is sort of like a separate database that Solr keeps with your key information. And then when you type in keywords, it'll compare it to its database and then render the results to you. So it works just like Google or Bing or anything else. It's just OpenScholar is using it internally. One cool thing about that Apache Solr is doing is that, and we talked about this before, is that your widget content, custom HTML widgets, are being indexed. So if you have a custom HTML widget on your page with your contact information, that will be indexed, and when someone does a search for it, it'll bring up the page title of that page, and they'll click on the page title. So it won't bring up that content exactly, but they'll get to it by clicking on the page title, which is an important thing there. And that wasn't always the case. There was a case where a lot of people were creating widgets for their content in the main part of their page, and they were realizing, I created all these widgets and nobody can search for my content. That was a big problem. People were using tabs, widget, or accordion, and that was their main content in their site. And so part of that was to remedy those use cases. So understanding your search results, this is just a little bit about the search section of your site. So I would consider the search to be like its own section. You can get there by doing the search on a keyword, or you can just click this with nothing in there. And it'll take you over to the search section. The search section has a layout just like any other section of the site. It comes with a bunch of widgets, default widgets that come with this section. All of your taxonomy is automatically filterable. And it's a faceted taxonomy, so you can choose more than one, and it will kind of narrow it down. So sort of like Amazon kind of thing for e-commerce. It has its own layout. Okay, you're going to see a bunch of somewhat cryptically labeled widgets. These are from Apache Solr. Yes, the labeling could be more clear. If anybody knows what these are just by looking at them, then that's pretty good, because I don't. But these are basically just the different sorting options that come by default with OpenScholar. A known bug that I'm aware of is that if you remove some of these, you can't get them back. So just be careful about removing them. You really want to remove them. It needs to be fixed, but these do not show up in the widget library up here with these other widgets. So you can reorder them, but just be careful about removing them until that bug is fixed. Just FYI on that. Okay, great. So this section also has some settings. And what it allows you to do is pull results from your subsites. Does everybody know what subsites are? Okay. So it's just sites can have a relationship. Subsites can be used to have content, and then the parent site can actually pull that content in through list of posts widget. So you can have your results from subsites, but in this case, actually, whether it's subsite or not is pretty irrelevant, because as long as it's on the same installation of OpenScholar, you can just type in any site and have those results appear, as long as it's a public site. That's the restriction. If it's anyone with a link or private or Harvard Community, those three other kind of non-public site settings, they won't show up. So that wouldn't be good, right? Someone had a private site and the content shows up here on someone else's site. But the assumption is, since it's public, it's okay that it appears on someone else's site, right? Because it's already out there in the Google and everything. Okay. So this goes into sort of the search results, sort of the hierarchy. So you can kind of look at some of the results on a particular site. So this right here would be a page title. underneath in the HTML, this is marked as a heading 1 automatically by OpenScholar. So kind of on a technical basis, Scholar's looking at, oh, this is a heading 1, so if someone types in professor, this particular post is going to get high priority versus if professor was in the content down here. So OpenScholar does that markup heading 1 and heading 2 automatically. But, you know, from the basic purposes, the titles get higher priority. Those get ranked higher than the body, if the keyword is in the title versus in the body. So it's pretty straightforward. You can kind of see this illustrates, I can blow this up a little bit. Searching for a term deleting. The first 2 results are terms that have deleting in the title, and the rest have deleting in the page content. So those will get kind of lower page rank. And page rank is kind of a proprietary thing, actually. Google has its own algorithm for page rank. Scholar has maybe a little bit different. But they pretty much follow this kind of general rule. This is what we just talked about, going into the search settings and getting results from a subsite or another site on OpenScholar. Does anybody have any for your own sites? Do you ever come across a need where you'd want to pull in information from another site in search results, or is this not something you not really?
I wish you would cite included subsite content in
Yeah, that'd be a good
not
one.
that long ago, there was somebody was looking for information. It was actually information, I think, about HWP on the HWP website.
Yeah.
But they didn't know that site existed. So they searched on the keyword site, but it didn't find the information because even though the HWP site is the subsite of the keyword one, they don't have the little checkbox check to say include subsite.
Yeah. That's actually a great idea. And people, one of the use cases I'd imagine is they go to the keyword site looking for services. They have their service catalog. So those sub-sites or other sites that are services, they rolled their search content into that would be useful. I think that's a great use case for this.
I would think it's a maybe that should be included as well. That subsite content should be included in the parent site.
Yeah, I mean, there's a strong case for it. I think there's a strong case for that, definitely. I think that'd have to be discussed. People might not be aware, but to your point, I think there could be a case for that being
And
involved.
it's not like it's going to expose anything that isn't out in the public.
Exactly.
So, as you said, it's not that kind of
Yeah. Absolutely. So, okay, so we talked about the layout already, and move on to the live example. So I kind of jumped ahead in the presentation. This is showing the new filtered search widget is in your list of widgets. Adding the filtered search widget, and then we'll go back to our publications. So I know that there are publications that we added. These are actual publications where the word bumblebee habitat is in the publication. So in using our search, you see where I started? I started from the publications page using the new filtered search widget. And our search results are just publications. Now, the did you mean is not always helpful. I don't know. They're actually kind of funny. I don't know if you've seen these. If I click on this, there'll probably be nothing. But then it'll give me something else funny. Stumbled exhibits. I don't know why it's funny, but they are. All right, so we got 2 results. They're both publications, at least on the first one. So let's let's compare, and that was using the filtered search widget. So let's compare that. Let's compare that to if somebody had searched in the main search that searches everything. You're gonna get kind of a mishmash of a lot of stuff, right? So, generally this is an extreme example. Not all this content's gonna have bumblebee habitat in it, but the point is, you're not gonna get publications. You're gonna get events, news, potentially projects, everything, and that might not be a good user experience if someone's just trying to search publications. So that's one use case. Another use case is moving along to events. So just go to the event section directly. All right. All right. So in our events, the use case is it might be useful for somebody, let's say a student's looking for a seminar taught by a certain professor by name. One way to do it is to tag every event with a term that the term is the professor's name. You have a big bunch of terms. Another way you could do it is you could use this filtered search widget. If the speaker's name is in the, there's one by David Wright. If the speaker's name is in the content of the post, you could use this filtered search widget to just search events. So it might be useful in this regard. So it's an alternative to having to tag everything. And now we have an event where the speaker is David Wright. And so this has some dependency, right? You have to be consistent in the way that you format your event text. And in this case, it is formatted consistently where the speaker is at the top. At least the name is in the body of the content. So that's another use for it. I'll take you. I think we're right in line with the last slide. Third use for it. Oh, and does everybody understand how the events widget works? Do you want me to take a look at it, or look at the settings? All that did was we set up a separate widget, and we just basically just set the content type to event. That's all we did. We gave it a different name. So the last use case I'm going to show you is, let's say that you have a resource library, and a lot of resources on people's sites are links that go to other sites. But in some cases, people have resources that are they're not links. They're content that lives on the existing site, whether it be files or sometimes there's pages. So in this case, it's pages that we've actually gone and tagged as links. So let me just open this. So this is our resource library. And if we look at how this page is tagged, we tag it as we have this vocabulary page tag. We tagged it as a resource. And we set up a list of posts widget on this page that set up to pull in pages tagged with resources. So every page is tagged the resource. It gets shown here in this widget. And then we have, using our filtered search widget, we have the content type set to page, but then in this use case, we're actually using the vocabulary filtering option So we're saying not only filter everything that's page, but also filter everything that's a page it needs to be tagged with resource. So we're kind of having an even more granular search and result set. So if it's probably going to be in every single one, isn't it? But if I do search term for archaeology, you should only get the resources back. It's in every one, but and you can kind of see when you jump over into the search section. So that's what it does. The filtered search jumps you over to the search section, but it keeps the search filters on and allows you to retain if you want to change the keyword, so you can do another search. But then, so it doesn't do in context filtering, which would mean that it would render the results on this page. That would be fantastic. But it does give you the ability to really make your searches granular using taxonomy as well as content type. So I'm sure there's a lot of other use cases out there, but those are three that we thought would be kind of plausible in an academic setting. Yeah, so that's it. I just want to introduce you to it, and I'm going to go ahead and pause this quick time